Perfect. And I'm live for the first time on YouTube. That took a minute. But I'm, yeah, obviously today I've launched my Motion Essentials course. If you haven't seen it, I would check that out because it was, a lot of hard work went into that. So I kind of thought I'd come on and do a sort of live Q&A if obviously we have anyone interested in a live Q&A. But I thought it'd be quite nice just to talk about the course or any questions you might have in general surrounding anything on my YouTube channel or After Effects or whatever it might be. I thought it'd be kind of nice to kind of talk about that, and I thought that would be a good idea, especially if anyone has any questions in particular or anything like that. I'm just going to check that my stream is all okay. Just going to log on to my YouTube and just make sure that everything's running smoothly. Make sure everything's all good. I don't think that my thumbnail has applied. Pretty new to live streaming on YouTube. Upload thumbnail. There we go. I kind of missed that part. So let's get that uploaded and added on. Perfect. Hello. Yes, I thought I'd do a live Q&A. Zava, how are you doing? Thank you for joining. I appreciate it. I just wanted to do something a bit different, and especially with the release of my new course, there's kind of like I suppose you might have some questions or anything you might be curious about. And I want to obviously take more time to try and engage, and I appreciate that I kind of vanished from YouTube from a little bit just while I was working on my course, so there might be a few questions on what's coming and all that kind of thing. Kareem, how are we doing, man? Thank you for joining, appreciate it. So yeah, I kind of I appreciate that I pretty much disappeared for, I don't know, maybe about 6 months. The videos that I kind of put out in those 6 months were more so kind of videos that I would have liked to increase the frequency of, but I still wanted to put something out so people could learn from. So in the new course, it's actually live, and you can check it out following the link in the description. But I will go through everything that is in it, and I can talk about it in depth. I'm just getting an error on my YouTube side here saying about the video res, so I might just need to edit a few things. I think because I'm already streaming, it might not be possible. I don't think it is. But I think we'll kind of be okay. It looks okay on my end, so let me know if it's not on yours. It looks okay. It's not the best quality. I'm using kind of like just a generic webcam, so it's not fantastic. Now in the course, it's kind of like a full beginner's guide. So I kind of want to take you through, first of all, understanding exactly what After Effects is and kind of how to utilize all the basics, just get your kind of way around it. And actually, let me just log on, and I can just share my screen and kind of talk you through exactly what's in these modules. I can kind of take you a little peek into the back end here of my course, and you can kind of see exactly what's in there. So let me just take this into the back end here, and then I'll share my screen with you guys. Amit Kumar, thank you so much. Appreciate you joining. And Kareem, thank you so much. I'm so glad my videos help you. That's the whole reason I make them. I just love teaching After Effects, and it's kind of where I started. Is just learning from people on YouTube, and I think it's kind of like a really useful thing, and it's a great way to kind of help people learn something that I learned, and exactly kind of where I learned from as well. So I'm gonna just share my screen, and I'll just move myself off to the side a little bit, and let me just make sure that this is all set up, which I think it should be. And I'll just create a new capture source here. So capture, and we can there. Now it might be a bit big or a bit small, I'm not too sure. We're kind of going to see the back end. Raisel, hello, thank you for joining, and Kiros as well, evening to you, if you're also in the UK. So I will put my face back on screen. I'll make myself a bit smaller here. I lock that one, we can kind of see, keep changing the wrong ones. We'll make myself smaller in the corner here. And you can kind of see the back end and exactly what's in it. So this has just gone live today. And I want it to be a really clear, concise guide of fully understanding After Effects, so that if you're not too confident with your understanding of it, I'm going to break things down very in depth and really kind of utilize everything I know to teach you not only how to do stuff, but exactly what everything does and why we do certain things. So it starts off quite simple. You know, I just want to introduce you to After Effects itself and some basic workflow tips, and just getting you up to speed with exactly how I work and how I would recommend working based on obviously my experience in studios and working with other people. And then it kind of heads in. We're going to start, this starts ramping up quite quickly. So it starts off with the very basics. And then module 2 is all about sorting our easing out. And it's something I focus heavily on, is motion in general and making things look really, really smooth. So I spent a whole module just talking about how we can create really nice smooth motion. So using our graph editors, the different types of keyframes, how we can prepare our artwork before we even take it into After Effects to sort of minimize the time that we then need to make tweaks. And just some general tips along the way and some kind of movements along with that. And you can see there's quite a lot of lessons in each module. So, I mean, we've got 11. So each module sort of has its own run up and own build up of me teaching you some skills. And then at the end of the module, I set you a homework task. And the idea is that with this homework task, I say, okay, well, using everything you've learned so far, let's just take a look at how to put this together. And I'm going to set you the challenge of animating this. So then I'll break down exactly what the outcome is and how I achieved it. So this does ramp up quite fast, and you can see we then begin to talk about shape layers and mattes. And again, it's making another project. I then want to introduce you to text, because text is in every single project that I've probably ever worked on, and understanding animating text is super important. We're going to do a little bit of rest, but also just some introduction to some bonus transitions, and I've included a few bonus files in there as well, just some behind the scenes stuff that I kind of worked on. Then talk about one of my favorite things, one of my favorite modules, which is loops and stylizing. And you'll know by a lot of my videos that I very much like doing stylizing and layer styles and all that kind of thing, and a few tricks that we can use to make our loops much easier and much smoother. I'm going to introduce you to 3D layers and parallax, and also expressions as well. And then at the end, we're kind of going to put all of these together before we kind of design our own project. So you can either follow along with what I do, or you can take on what I say basically and kind of design your own project from the ground up. And it's split into 2 parts. So we have the pre-production, and then we have our main animation part. And you can see there's quite a lot of lessons in that one as well. So it's very in-depth, and there's a lot of hours to go through, but it's really to kind of get you into being confident in your abilities of After Effects and taking everything that I've learned and how to put that together. So that you're at a point where you could happily go to a client and go, okay, well, they say they want this, and okay, well, that's achievable, we can do that. And then on top of this, we have the private community too. So inside the community, you can talk to me, you can talk to the motion designers as well to get any feedback. At the minute, I don't have any intermediate courses. This one took me, I've been working on this since the start of last year. So this one has taken me a long time to put together. So my situation at the minute is that I still work full time in a studio, and YouTube at the minute is kind of like just an after work thing. It's kind of like something I do just for fun and on the side sort of thing. So not at the minute, but it's something hopefully that maybe I could expand to. But out of curiosity, what kind of thing would you be looking for in the intermediate kind of stuff? Like, where would you want to take that? Because that can open up a whole bunch of different stuff. And I think being able to put intermediate in one course is a very difficult thing to do, purely because you could be great at one thing, but you might not be great at another thing. And it's knowing where those strengths lie and exactly what you kind of understand. So potentially in the future, I might look at doing more of like a one-to-one thing so that I could basically spend more time with you individually and kind of guide you based on your skill set rather than a kind of course, so to speak, that will get you up and running. Because I think there's so many different areas of motion design and animation that you could be so proficient in one thing, but you could be lacking in another. And I might not have the skill set for that, and I might. So it's kind of a very on a case-by-case basis, so to speak. How to get good at sound design? Sound design is a different skill completely, I'll be honest. A lot of studios, a lot of motion designers will just outsource sound design. That's why sound designers exist. It's why sound studios exist. It's a role in itself, 100%. And sound design is a lot more than kind of just slapping effects on your timeline and hoping for the best. I think there's a lot more that goes into it. But a lot of places now kind of want unicorns and they want everyone to do everything. But really they are individual skills and kind of should be treated as such. Sound design is one of those that you just kind of have to experiment with, practice with until you kind of get what feels right, get what looks right, and what suits the motion. Abby, thank you so much. Hello to you too. I've spent a lot of time on this, so I hope it does look quite nice in the end. But I kind of now the plan is just to come back to YouTube and kind of get that side going. Because obviously with my time at the minute, so I spend Monday to Friday working, sort of 9 till 5:30, and then after that I kind of try fit in like an hour or two of working on some videos, scripting, filming, whatever it might be. Editing is kind of like the biggest time consumer at the minute. So the majority of time kind of goes into that. And then I have to kind of balance that with the full-time job, so that the priority kind of shifted so I could work on this course. And then it'd be back to YouTube for the time being, and then obviously we'll kind of see where things go. In intermediate, it would be interesting in how to approach a project as a whole. So I kind of talk about this in the last module, and getting kind of like up to date in this course with coming up with concepts and ideas and stuff. But I wouldn't say it's completely in depth. Really, I could potentially do, rather than a full course, more of like a masterclass, but that might work, or some kind of like example or something like that of going through a project from start to finish. But that was the whole idea in this course, that we kind of work up this project and we learn the skills, and then we put all this together and we do a bit of pre-production before we just get into After Effects. Because you're quite right, there's so much more to it than just learning After Effects. And the pre-production and the concepts and the ideas can be so difficult to do. And I think everyone hits that point. But I think in general, the one of the easiest ways is just like consuming lots of different media and looking outside of potentially just kind of what's on your screen. I always find looking at different types of media, potentially reading books or watching film, TV, you'll notice things, and ideas might just spark from that. I mean, sometimes I've kind of been out and I've noticed a pattern somewhere and I'm like, oh, okay, that looks cool. wonder how we could kind of take that pattern and begin to animate it, and or implement that pattern into something else. And a lot of the time you can also look into kind of other things like, you know, other people's work. He's also a great reference, but not necessarily just within motion design. You could look at other artists, how other artists use light. So for instance, in traditional painting and traditional media, if you look at the way light works, it can often bounce ideas. So I use that a lot for 3D. If you look at traditional artists and referencing light, you're able to match your light sources a bit better. There's so much more than just looking at other people's work on Instagram and Behance, that it's kind of all around us, and you could just kind of look in nature, because really we're just trying to recreate things that look natural. And when something doesn't look natural in motion, you notice it instantly, because our brain is so accustomed to understanding what's natural and what's not. And that's definitely the hard part. It might sound like a lot of nonsense, but generally there can be something found everywhere. It's just finding that. And it is a very hard thing to do, but also just not putting pressure on yourself, thinking, oh, I need an idea for this, I need to do this, I need to be able to draw this, I need to draw that, is like getting that pressure off you will help massively. The course looks fire, by the way. Thank you so much. I spent a lot of time on it, so I hope so. You made the gradient ball? Which one? Enoch, no worries, man. Honestly, this is definitely like a next step. It's more of like a cohesive thing. I'm still going to be posting on YouTube. I'm going to be getting back to posting on YouTube now. So it's definitely, this is more of like, if you want to learn After Effects faster and you want to know it more in depth, then this is kind of the thing for it. And that the thing is with YouTube as well, it kind of caters to a certain type of content. So you'll notice on my channel, I've done longer videos, and they perform well in terms of views, but the retention on them is like terrible. You're getting people watching for like a minute or two. So I just don't think it's a weird thing to see when you're getting into the hellscape of YouTube analytics, but it's a weird thing to see of seeing your video views go up, but your performance not do so great. And you're kind of like, well, I can't figure out what the problem is, whether, you know, it could be me, it could be the way I'm teaching, it could be the content of the video. There's so many different variables that I don't really know the answer to, I'll be honest. And I just like to put out videos, I just like to teach, and yeah, putting like an hour-long video on YouTube or a half an hour-long video on YouTube just does not perform as well as something that would be like 4 or 5 minutes for me. So I mean, that's another thing. Like a couple of videos I've kind of got planned. I will be doing kind of like shorter videos as well. They're a bit more snappy, to the point. Don't want to be wasting people's time. But anything where I'm teaching certain effects will be kind of like cam on screen, and I'll guide you through the process type thing. Houdini. So Houdini's an interesting one. Houdini I learned for my current position. Prior to that, I used Cinema 4D. So I had a lot of kind of 3D background. So basically when I started learning 2D and 3D at the same time. And a lot of people go down the route of either learning one or the other. And don't get me wrong, it's a lot harder to learn both at the same time because you're constantly switching back and forth. But it is a very, very good skill to have. Unfortunately, everyone wants unicorns now. So they want video editors, they want motion designers, they want sound designers, they want graphic designers, they want 3D artists as well, all in one person. And it's a very like unicorn job to know all that. But learning 3D is definitely a good skill to have. Houdini is a very complex program, and the kind of learning curve is literally like you're going to be fighting a wall for so long, but then eventually this wall just gets easier and easier and easier. It's really hard to describe, but when I first started learning it, I was like, oh my god, this is so over my head, I'm never going to learn it. And the more and more you use it, like you're kind of like, okay, this is better, this is really good, look at everything I can do. And don't get me wrong, I still don't know it as well I would like to do, but I can definitely get away with doing some okay work. My content's amazing. Thank you so much. I think they could be improved. So honestly, if you have anything you'd like to see better, or anything you could think that I could cut out, or anything I could teach better, I'd love to know. Honestly, I think it's a learning process, 100%. Are there any AI tools I use at the minute? I don't. I like, I'll maybe use a bit of Chat GPT now and then. I'll be honest, but for like most of the stuff I've done, not really. Trying to think. There's the upres one that I've used. That's quite good and quite useful. I can't remember the name of it. Is it like an upscale AI? And it kind of like, it can really take low-res images and like scale them up really good. Like it looks really good. And I've used that one, but aside from that, I've not really used any. I don't really delve into it too much. I mean, I've tried a bit of the Illustrator AI builder thing, you know, like AI vectors. They're okay. Don't get me wrong. I've used some, but the AI for Illustrator is very hit and miss. Like the paths are terrible. It doesn't really like connect in places. So you've got to kind of use it as a base and then redraw over it. Can I type which AI I use? Just the Illustrator one, and then I don't know the upscale one. I can't think of what it is. Let me just take a look of what the name is. It just Topaz. Is that it? I feel like it's Topaz. Let me just log on. This is only good for kind of like upscaling images. I believe it's Topaz. So let me just bring this over here. So Topaz kind of like up-reses your images. So anything that's a bit pixelated will kind of make it better. So you can see there, it's saying it's like 640 by 800, and then it upscales it to 3840, which is crazy. So it's a pretty useful AI tool, but aside from that, I've not really used much. Origin Graphics, thank you so much for the 40 yen, is it? I think. Do a video on backgrounds. What kind of backgrounds? Like just gradient animated backgrounds? Or like Stinger background? Like there's so many different backgrounds. What kind of backgrounds do you want to see? Like animated backgrounds, there are big scope. So if it's like gradients, I don't know in particular what it wants. Gradient backgrounds, I will add it to my list. Let me just go into my videos and I will add it to the list. Gradient backgrounds. Okay, that's on the list. Gradient and animated backgrounds, no problem. There's a couple ways that could be done. 100%. So when you kind of like want a video like that, are you wanting it kind of step by step, or are you wanting it kind of more like where I just talk like this and I'd kind of just walk you through it and it's very relaxed? Or would you prefer something where it's kind of like a bit shorter, a bit more condensed, and it's more like a, okay, so we do this, we build this, we do that kind of thing? It's always good to know these things, whether more in depth and just kind of more relaxed and more raw like this is better, or whether you prefer something a bit more condensed and shorter and just easier. I'll just take a quick sip of juice. But yeah, I will. So I've got a couple videos. I'm gonna be scripting the next one pretty soon. Like I said, the majority of my time was spent building this for the past kind of like 6 to 8 months. So that's why there's been a lack of uploads. But yeah, we're here now. So yeah, kind of like you want to know in depth what's happening, why we're doing certain things. Okay, kind of like like these would be. That's fine. More relaxed, more laid back. Do you prefer those videos in general, or do you prefer kind of like shorter, more condensed? because I've done a mixture of both, and it's always kind of figuring out what's best and how people are going to like it the most. That's definitely the hard part. Definitely something I can take a look at. If you want kind of like a more lengthy video, that's going to be no problem. No problem. They're actually kind of a bit easier to edit on my end as well. But I think that's a hard balancing act too. It's like editing the video is nice enough that it's enjoyable, but also I want to get the information across, and that's kind of like my main priority is getting the information across and making sure everything comes across clearly and well, and it's not just kind of like, there's effects everywhere and the shot's changing and I don't have a clue what's going on. Very difficult to kind of find the balance on. So just looking here, I've got like the next maybe 3 or so videos ready to like, I know the idea, kind of. But it's just taking the time to then script it and make it, of course. So what the kind of projects I work on, honestly, it's a huge variety of things. I mean, so I do a lot of, I've done product stuff before. I've done like explainers. Explainers are so common in After Effects, but explainers can be so much more than just a here's how to use this, for instance, or this is all about this tool. They can be like a showcase of the product in itself. So there's a lot of stuff that actually is NDA'd, so I'm not technically allowed to talk about, but there's so much work that I'm like, I did a project recently and I was so proud of it. There was full 3D, but I'm not allowed to talk about it, which is so painful. And it was a really, really good job, really good like end product, really good like client, and it was like the dream project, but I can't talk about it. But that was a product thing. Done a couple product things. After Effects, I do a lot of product showcases and kind of like explainers and things. And sometimes I do like in-house kind of company videos as well. So, you know, maybe it's something to celebrate the company, or like something that's going to be shown at meetings or something like that kind of thing. So that there's definitely a big variety in the work I do. It's not just kind of like one thing and another thing, but product work is like 100% my favorite thing to work on. Particularly in 3D, I think product work can look so nice, and you can do so much with different products. Like, one of my favorite things to work on is kind of like perfume bottles and stuff. So I just there's so much you can do with them, and I just think you can get so creative with it all and make them look so nice. So that's the kind of stuff that I do in downtime as well, that I kind of like to work on. I think if the technique can be used in making multiple different backgrounds or in-depth videos, better, so you know what's going to happen. But if the technique doesn't help in making multiple things out of it, then short videos are enough. That makes sense. So you kind of want something that is just to the point and it gets there, and that's all you need to know. No more like waffling and, you know, nothing like that. So it's, yeah, that makes complete sense. Just basically not dragging a video out and kind of having it as it should be. What was my favorite module to work on? Probably the loops or the shape layers, because I like the end results of these. Like the shape layer end result is really nice, and the loops end result is one of my favorites as well. So I can bring this up on my end. Let me find it. So many files. Module 4, wasn't it? Nope. 3. Was it 3? That was like the end loop of module 3. Because it doesn't loop right because I rendered it wrong. And I sort of trimmed it in Premiere, but that was kind of like the end result of that. loops are a very satisfying thing. 100%. And I think, was it 6 as well, which I've briefly talked about on the channel before, but it's still just a nice animation to kind of do and quite fun. Was it this one? I get a feeling it was this one. It's a very short loop. Kind of have to turn it on replay, I think. You can kind of, I just love the look of that. Again, so I was talking about different references earlier, like just thinking about lighting and stuff in my workflow is super important. And you can kind of see how that's reflected then in my gradients and things. So just looking at different media for inspiration is so important. So important. But I'm kind of, hoping that I'll just continue to progress myself as well. So although there's plenty I'm teaching, it's also good for me to kind of learn and get a bit better with what I'm doing. I think doing this course has definitely helped with that. It's taught me definitely. So definitely, like, pre-production is so important. It was something that I always thought, before it's not really necessary, but doing this course is so, like, really got me into the habit of pre-production so much more, and just ideation of things, way more than I kind of should have done, let's say. So for explainers, do you usually have to come up with a concept and illustration, or does the project go through a script, art director, illustrative? So most of the time with a lot of the projects I do, I'm solely doing the animation. I'm solely taking care of the motion side. A lot of the times clients kind of take care of what exactly they're after, and they might send us storyboards or something like that, and we'll kind of just have to do the motion side, which is super nice. Don't get me wrong, super nice. So sometimes even like the Illustrator files and stuff are given as well, which is great. Sometimes we have to make them themselves. It really does depend. A lot of the 3D jobs, we kind of just have maybe a rough idea or a storyboard or something like that, and we kind of build all that from scratch. But the 2D stuff, sometimes I'll have storyboards to already work from. So a lot of the time I'm kind of just doing the motion side, which is really nice. Kind of cuts out just messing around in Illustrator, and really I get to do the fun stuff, which is what we all like, isn't it? And then usually that will kind of go through internally, looked at by the seniors, directors, whatever. And then it'll get sent to client, and then obviously we just iterate until everyone's happy. The Apple text thing help you pitch? I'm glad it did, man. I've talked a bit about text and setting up range lights and stuff in my course, but there's so many different avenues to explore that it's so hard to kind of like narrow down exactly what's a good video and what's not. And that's definitely a hard point. I have so many like ideas written down that when they come to me, I just kind of like write them down in my Notion. And sometimes I'll think this is a really good idea and this is going to be a great video, and then I do it and I'm like, I'm not so sure. So sometimes it's kind of just doing the process, and other times I think this isn't going to be that good a video, and then it kind of turns out to be. So it's very hit and miss, I think. How do I personally approach the learning? So more often than not, when I'm doing things myself, it'll be like on a per project basis. So sometimes I might have an itch for, okay, I've seen something recently and I really want to try recreate it, or how can I look at that? I really like how they've done this, or I really like the style of it. How can I think about taking that a step further, or how can I make that more my own, or actually I'd like to do this to it. So that'll leave me down the avenue of either 2D or 3D, and then I'll kind of develop the idea from there. So a lot of the time with like downtime and stuff, I'll kind of like work on a project for a bit, and then maybe I'll have a job come in, and then I'll be doing client work, and then maybe I'll have some free time again, go back to that project. Or if I finish that project, I'll go back and start a new one, and perhaps this time it'll be 3D. So then I'm not, so like if the client project was potentially all 2D, or if it was all 3D, I'll kind of feel a bit like exhausted, so to speak, in that avenue, because I'll have been just doing that day after day. So then I'll kind of fancy having a change, and that'll just make me switch to doing 2D or trying a different avenue, or perhaps there was something in the project I really like and I want to take that a step further. It really is kind of like hit and miss, and I kind of do it on a per project basis. And I kind of always have done that with 2D and 3D as well. This is kind of like, so this is the hard thing with 2D and 3D, is like you're constantly switching between, and if you want to be really good at one, you kind of might have to let the other slide back a bit. But I'm so determined to like try not let that happen. And sometimes I'll be like, oh yeah, this has gone so well, and maybe I should just let that slide a bit. And then sometimes I'll think, oh, maybe actually I should let this slide a bit, and you kind of just back and forth. But I enjoy both. I enjoy both so much that I don't want to only do one. So it really does depend on if you enjoy it or if you don't enjoy it. So you might start learning 3D and you might absolutely hate it. If it's not fun for you, then it's probably not what you're into. But at the same time, I really dislike like doing character animation. So it's not particularly something I try pursue. It's not something I really have an interest in to prioritize my time in getting better at. So it's kind of like prioritizing exactly what you like and exactly what you enjoy, so that then you kind of stick with it and you'll get better at doing those things, and then you'll kind of begin to learn where your specialty lies and what you enjoy the most, that you can then appeal to for studios or clients. Because everyone, you might look at motion designers' work and you might think, oh, they're so good at this, but you don't know what they've kind of like not practiced on and not focused on to kind of be better at that one thing. Or maybe they're just like really good. Then maybe they're just one of those people that are really good at everything, and it does happen where you'll come across someone and they're just so good at everything and you're like, ah, man, this is so painful. But it kind of just is what it is. You'll learn to prioritize certain things. You'll feel better doing certain things than other things, and that's kind of really what makes you kind of choose the path that you want to go down. And if, yeah, it's really like hit or miss. I feel like I keep going off on a tangent, but at the same time, I like talking about these questions, and I like going in depth so you like get an answer, I hope, out of it, or at least can help somewhat, because that's what I just like doing. I just like teaching and I like helping, and there's so much that I still want to learn, and I just like to kind of pass this back on, so to speak. So I'm probably going to do like maybe about another 15-20 minutes, and then I'll probably go off. But if in future there's a want for like Q&As, I'm 100% open to doing it. I don't mind it. I quite enjoy it, actually. It's quite nice to just chat and engage with people that, you know, do enjoy the videos. It's really nice, and because sometimes it's hard to get focused on, you know, I look at the excuse me, I just tapped my mic. I look at like the back end of YouTube and it's just a number, and it's nice to kind of associate that number with people and real people, and really it's really nice to then realize that you're kind of like actually helping people learn, and that's so nice. I'm on Windows, so I recently built a new PC last year. Yes, last year now. I built a new PC, so did a custom build purely because Windows is a bit better for 3D, I think. I don't know whether Macs didn't used to be that good for 3D, so I went Windows. And I've kind of stuck with Windows for a while. I used to be Mac only. Then I started doing more 3D, realized how important a good graphics card is. So I've done a new build, which I was going to make a video on, but I didn't. I didn't really know how to piece it. But as you can see, my room right now is very, very bare. And it's not a designer's room. So I'm trying to save up some money to kind of do the room out and make it really nice and have a nice background and things for my videos. But that's kind of like the next step. So I want to focus on getting a good PC. So when I was filming and stuff, I wasn't getting bad like playback and stuff with After Effects, so that helped a lot. And then the next step is to save up and kind of do the room and make that look a bit nicer for the videos as well. To start executing the ideas, little and everything. I mean, it's kind of like hard with the ideas thing, like, because not everything is necessarily a good idea for YouTube, but that's also the hard thing of like, I need to prioritize my YouTube, like, not necessarily for views, but like what is a good piece like of learning, because chasing views isn't really the goal. It's like when you get into the whole like dive of YouTube, you're like, why? There's so much science behind it. Like, you just get bombarded with everyone telling you one thing and another person telling you another. You're like, oh my god, I just want to make nice videos. In fact, room is bad. No, it's not bad. It's not bad. I love this room. It's not bad at all. I just mean it's like quite bare. So like, I'd like to paint it and like put like photos on the wall and things, you know, make it a bit like nicer in that sense. Is my camera flickering? I think it is. I'm not sure why. Let me just see if I can fix this. I think it's a pretty old webcam, so it could be why. Let me lock that. That should fix it. Is that better? That's better. I didn't realize that was doing that, so I apologize. I'll make myself big screen again. So yeah, I mean, it'd just be nice to, because it's just like white walls and things, and I'll literally right here, I just have my desk and my computer, and it'd be nice to, like, you know, have something else. Kind of like, I sit in this room like 8 to 12 hours a day, so staring at white walls, it's like there's no inspiration around me with like artwork and things. So I want something nice to look at. How's life outside work and YouTube? Yeah, man, thanks for asking. Pretty good. Yeah, I'd say so. You know, doing well. You know, I'm lucky enough that I get to do this for a job, and I kind of do YouTube as like a side project. Which, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Like, it is like a lot of hours, but I enjoy doing it. So, and it makes me better. So, outside of this desk, I pretty much just like exercise, and really about it, I'll be honest. So yeah, it's like I should probably pick up some new hobbies, but YouTube takes a lot of time for sure. YouTube takes a lot of time up. I should have put, hold on, has that broke my OBS? OBS dropped out for a second there. That was weird. Now it'll look like I'm actually looking at you when I talk, and I'm not looking over at this screen, because that's my secondary monitor. So I'm reading the chat, and the chat's over there, and I'm looking here. I love those rooms in studio. Don't they always look so nice? Don't they always look so nice? Yeah, that's the thing. I just want to kind of like decorate the room a little bit and make it look a bit nicer. I can't tell if like, oh, I am big screen again now. Okay, my bad. Am I fully remote? Like pretty much. Like, I'll go into the office when we need to, but it's at the minute it's kind of like once a month. So I'm kind of like fully remote, which has its pros and cons. Don't get me wrong. But you know, it's both sides. It's nice, and it's certain times you're kind of like, oh, maybe it'd be nice to kind of like chat to someone, or like have some ideas bounced around, like that kind of thing. There's definitely pros and cons to it, and you kind of don't get to see what everyone else is working on, which is like a bit of a shame. It's there's pros and cons to both for sure. Do I think there's a future in motion graphics after all these AI? I 100% do. So I don't think AI is going to replace us as bad as people think at all. Like, I think it's going to be implemented like into our workflow. The one thing I'm not too keen on is how much like companies are pushing it. But then, as we've seen today with like, I don't know if you've kept up with the news, but like I don't fully know what it is, but something that's heavy AI pushed basically dropped a load of like stocks in Nvidia. I don't really know how it works, but I think we'll hit a point with AI where like it'll kind of hit the ceiling, and either the bubble will burst or there's not going to get much further. There's only so much you're gonna get out of it, I feel like, because real creativity comes from people, and even if someone's typing exactly what they want, I don't think you're gonna be able to direct it as well as, you know, we could go in and just direct it ourselves properly and make those changes that we need to be changed. Don't get me wrong, it's kind of disheartening seeing big companies like recently Coca-Cola did their whole ad with AI, and it's kind of disheartening seeing that. But it's just the way it is. I think we'll get a lot of filtering of good motion designers and bad motion designers, so to speak. So I think just positioning yourself well will be a big thing. But it was kind of like when computers came about and they were on about, so originally, I don't know how much you know, but originally it was all kind of like hand-drawn stuff, and like lettering was all like done using stencils and print, and like it was all a whole different thing. And everyone thought when computers came in that it would be the end of graphic design, but it wasn't. It just took it that big further, and I think that's exactly what AI will do. It'll just kind of like help streamline certain things. And honestly, if AI gets to the point of replacing everything in motion graphics, we're going to have bigger problems, because it will also have replaced a lot of other jobs outside of ours. And yeah, let's not go down that hole, but like a lot of other jobs will have gone with AI as well, and it'll just like cause chaos. Which creator should be watched to learn motion graphics techniques? Well, yeah, you know, you're watching him right now for sure. No, aside from me, there's definitely some good motion designers on YouTube. Obviously, Ben Marriott, Jake in Motion are the go-tos. There was some that I learned that don't really make tutorials anymore. Video Copilot's still up. That was the original OG that when I first opened After Effects and watched his tutorial, I got scared, and 5 seconds later I closed After Effects. But he has some really good tips and tricks for different type of work, but you can then learn and implement that into your motion graphic stuff. How do you think a motion designer should position themselves? Individuality is exactly what makes you, isn't it? So you're going to have a skill that perhaps someone else doesn't have, and that's where your kind of selling point will be. In terms of social media, it's definitely not a bad thing to be posting your work on Instagram, but Instagram has really changed, so it pushes reels more. Like before, I know artists who got a lot of work for Instagram because they were posting their work, but now it's all like reels oriented. So I don't really know how posting your work on Instagram really works that much anymore. I haven't done it for a while, I'll be honest. LinkedIn is very good for connecting with people now. Like that's completely shifted for like motion graphics and stuff, like networking with people, going to events and getting to know people on first name basis. Like as the saying goes, the it's not what you know, it's who you know, and that's so true. Like there's so many like people that if you get to know them, and they will know other people, and potentially there's times where a certain company is looking for a specific designer or something like that, and you might be recommended purely because you know someone, or you know someone at the company, something like that. Like it's always trying to network with people as much as possible. So even maybe just speaking to other artists on Instagram. I've done that a few times. I've spoke to other YouTubers too. I'll just send them an email, send them a DM on Instagram and be like, hey, you know, like your videos, like your work, whatever it might be. And we'll just start having a conversation. And it's quite nice because you get to see how it is from another perspective, and you begin to build relationships. And it's always a nice thing to do. A lot of the time, it's kind of like networking, and that's like a skill in itself, which is definitely harder when you're freelance. You've got to take care of the business, you've got to take care of the networking, you've got to take care of the sales, you've got to take care of the design. So it's like all in one when you are freelance. So there's definitely like pros and cons to be freelance as well. But yeah, just getting to know people on LinkedIn, Instagram, showcasing your work on LinkedIn and Instagram, I would say is so huge. So huge. Yeah, my last video was a while ago, but that's purely because I've been working on this course. I'll promise you the what's the word I'm looking for? The frequency will increase now. I had to kind of prioritize, obviously, because I was like working, and then in my evenings I would spend working on the course. So I had to prioritize the like one or the other, and I just couldn't do both. It was so like going back to my videos, like I was trying to upload at the same time, and it was kind of like shifting my priorities, and like I couldn't do both. So now it'll be back to kind of my main focus. I'll be going back to YouTube and creating some nice videos, hopefully, and some nice things to learn from. I hope. Obviously, it's kind of figuring out as well with YouTube is where I fit in with that. So like you're saying with how's a motion designer position themselves, I'm still trying to learn with that with YouTube, and I don't know how to position myself. I'm terrible at all that kind of thing. I don't know exactly what I should focus on, and it's a hard task for sure. It's a hard task. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I try to teach it as best I can. You know, I might not be the best in the world. I might, but I hope that I can at least teach something that's useful to someone else. Because I think the thing when I was learning and going through YouTube tutorials and all this kind of thing, there wasn't as like much. So it was the hard part I had was kind of understanding why, and understanding the kind of like a lot of the videos I was watching was like how to. So it teach you, okay, do this, do this, do this, do this, but it wouldn't teach you why. It wouldn't like it just show you to press the button, but it wouldn't tell you exactly what that's doing. And I was kind of more interested in that, which is exactly why I've developed my course and exactly why I've developed my YouTube channel, because I want to teach you kind of more so you understand it, not just know how to do something, because that's way more powerful than knowing how to do something. Because if you know how to do one thing and then achieve the end result, if that thing needs changing, you might not know where it needs changing to get the secondary output. So it's always well knowing how to do something, but it's a completely different skill knowing why and understanding why you're doing something. And that's what I try focus on. It's what I try teach, because I think that's way more important than just showing you like the end result and how to get to the end result. I like to kind of break down what I'm doing exactly so that you can kind of exactly that, understand this theory. That's exactly the word I'm looking for. You got it right. Rather than just like copying and pasting the tutorial, because I've been there and that's exactly how I started learning. And then it came to like being asked to do something, and I was like, I don't know how to do it, but I've got this work in my show reel and it doesn't really represent me. It doesn't represent what I know. And then you've kind of got to like figure it out. But don't get me wrong, you'll get asked to do stuff you don't really understand a lot of the time, and you'll figure it out as you go. And that's just the way it is. Even now today, if I don't know how to do something, it's kind of fun figuring out. A lot of motion design is just problem solving. But one thing that I like think completely makes your motion design better is just learning good design. Like they go hand in hand, and I put it off for so long, just like not looking at design stuff. And as soon as I started taking my design more seriously, and only recently in like these past few months, especially while working on my course, like my design has got like better because I've started taking it more seriously, and I'm being like, oh, it's making my work look better. They really go hand in hand, and I really put like a kind of backtrack on it. And I shouldn't have done, but it's so hard like to encompass all these things into your daily practice and your kind of understanding of learning everything at once, for sure. It's such a hard task. I'm not sure what happened there. I had a little dropout. Very weird. That was very strange. I'm hoping we're back online. So some of the, yeah, don't get me wrong, some techniques like you're not really going to utilize, and this is kind of what I was saying earlier. It's kind of like picking your battles and understanding what you actually want to learn and exactly where you want to go with your design and what you think you're good at, and then you'll learn more around that and kind of begin to niche down and begin to kind of build your portfolio, and you'll learn kind of more about yourself doing that too. Thank you so much for answering your questions. Absolutely no problem. I wish I knew how to pronounce your name. I'm sorry I don't. You have a great evening as well, and thank you so much for tuning in and getting involved, asking some questions, because I wouldn't have anything to answer if you weren't here answering questions. But yeah, I mean, just take your battles as they come and learn as and when you can, and learn as much as you can, and just get as much media in, and consume as much as possible. Is the best thing. What do I think to your logo? I can't really see it. It looks like very kind of like esports. It's very nice. It's very nice. It depends on how you want to position yourself. If you're going down like esports, then I think that's fantastic. But like your design language is very much dictates kind of like how you position yourself in the market. So it depends what kind of market you're aiming for. Your branding is a huge thing for sure. But it looks really nice. I like it. It really just kind of depends how you plan to position yourself in the market, and then where you kind of see your attraction. I really like the wave going on in the background, and that kind of like highlight you've got going on the top left as well. I really like those kind of gradients you've got going on there. It's really nice. And you've also got the nice color in there with the orange. It really adds that pop and that contrast to the kind of feel of everything. The really nice colors to use together. You've got the blues rather than like a solid black, and the dark grays. Really nice. Really nice use of color. So I think I'm gonna wrap this up. I think I'm gonna go grab some food and probably begin working on my next script for the next video. And yeah, esports type of 100%. I got that immediately. So I'm kind of glad that that's where you're going. So I was a bit worried that I'd start saying that and maybe you were going in a different direction. But yeah, I hope if anyone has any questions around anything else, just get in touch with me, email, Instagram, whatever it might be. If you have any questions about my course or anything like that, just get in touch. But I kind of wanted to take this time to answer any questions and kind of show you the back end of the course too, and exactly what's kind of going on and where I've been. So hopefully that's everything answered. And I quite like this, so maybe we can look at doing some more of these now and then. But I'd like to concentrate back on YouTube now, and it's just kind of getting the time in to get these scripts done, get the editing done, as that's kind of like the main time consumption at the minute for me. So I thank you all very much for kind of tuning in and asking questions. I really do appreciate everyone that watches my videos. It obviously is the reason that I'm able to kind of hop on and chat to people. I will catch you all very, very soon.